So welcome back everyone, and let's take a look at what's been happening across the financial markets, actually because there's been some major developments happening over the past few days. So today we are going to be covering Bitcoin and the broader crypto markets, the latest developments that we've had surrounding the Clarity Act, the geopolitical situations and how they actually are affecting oil prices, and then finally, what traders should be watching for over the next couple of days. So without further ado, let's go. And now starting with Bitcoin, of course. Bitcoin has actually remained to obviously hold these very nice levels around the 66k region. And now we are reclaiming these levels that we haven't seen in several weeks. So the recovery has been actually driven by improving institutional sentiment and the continued ETF inflows, like you can see right here. So today, currently we have 226 million in inflows. Past couple of days were also better. Yesterday was good. Last week was also good towards the end of the week. So yeah, institutional inflow is still upcoming. And then we also have the growing optimism that US crypto regulation may finally become clearer. So what's particularly interesting is that Bitcoin has actually remained surprisingly resilient despite significant geopolitical tensions. So normally when uncertainty rises, investors tend to reduce exposure to risk assets. This time, however, as we can see, institutional demand has continued to support the markets, preventing a deeper correction. So technically, Bitcoin right now is approaching an important resistance area around 68k. Now, if we can actually manage to push through that level, then many traders will begin targeting the psychological level of $70,000. Now, on the downside though, holding above 64 to 65k would maintain the bullish momentum. So for now, the trend actually does remain constructive, but of course, volatility is still elevated. And now, one of the biggest catalysts this week for crypto has actually been the renewed progress surrounding the Clarity Act. So this legislation actually aims to provide us a clearer rule around the digital assets by defining which cryptocurrencies fall under SEC oversight and which belong under the CFTC. So it also introduces stronger consumer protections and attempts to reduce years of regulatory uncertainty. Now, markets actually have reacted very positively to this because regulatory clarity is something that institutional investors have actually been asking for many, many years. So while this bill still needs clear additional votes before becoming law, negotiations appear to be moving forward with lawmakers attempting to reach an agreement to the congressional recess in early August. So if we continue to see positive headlines, crypto could receive another wave of institutional interest. Now, however, until legislation is officially passed, expect headline-driven volatility, like always. Now, moving on to the global market. So the biggest macro story continues to be the tensions in the Middle East. Now, ongoing conflicts in the Middle East involving United States and Iran continues to create uncertainty across the global markets. So investors remain focused on shipping routes through the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most important energy corridors, and then any disruption to oil transportation immediately impacts energy prices, inflation expectations, and of course, ultimate central banking policy. So the markets are consistently balancing two competing narratives. On one hand, we have the military escalation creating uncertainty, and then on the other hand, we have any sign of diplomatic progress on ceasefire or discussions that could quickly improve the market sentiment as a whole. So right now, that is actually why we've been seeing these sharp moves both higher and lower across commodities and equities in the past couple of days. Brent crude oil has now moved back up towards $91 per barrel, while the US crude oil has actually climbed into the mid-80s as traders price in potential supply disruptions tied to the Middle East conflict. So higher oil prices matter because they feed directly into the inflation, like we've said before. If energy costs remain elevated for an extended period of time, central banks can have actually less room to cut interest rates. So that's actually something equity investors and crypto investors will be watching closely for the upcoming weeks. And now at the same time, markets are still hoping diplomacy prevents a larger disruption to global oil supplies. Now, equity has actually become increasingly sensitive to macro headlines, and technology stocks continue to perform relatively well whenever oil stabilizes and geopolitical fears actually ease. However, every single new escalation tends to trigger temporary moves into defensive assets and increases overall market volatility. So for now, investors actually remain focused on the three key themes that we've currently got: inflation, interest rate expectations, and geopolitical risk. So those three factors are driving nearly every major asset class. So now, what are we maybe looking for in these coming days or weeks? So there are actually several important developments traders should keep an eye on for now. First, any updates regarding the Clarity Act could continue to influence crypto markets. Secondly, would be watching for the additional ETF flow data. And then we have institutional buying, because this has actually been one of the biggest drivers behind Bitcoin's recent recovery. Thirdly, would be monitor developments in the Middle East. So any escalation could push oil prices higher and increase volatility across global markets. And then finally, pay attention to comments from Federal Reserve officials and upcoming economic data. Since interest rate expectations remain one of the largest drivers of both equity and crypto markets as a whole. Now, before you guys go, I want to quickly talk to you all about Everdex. Now, Everdex is the fully decentralized platform I've been using for many months now. And right now, we actually do have a fantastic opportunity for you guys to do some funded trading. So with a 50 USDT entry, you get yourself a 1.5K account. So everything you make is entirely yours to keep. 0% profit share, no challenges, nothing like that. So you can trade anything from stocks to crypto, and now we finally have Forex as well, which I'm very excited to be trading with you guys. So yeah, the link will be down below, so check it out. So now, to sum everything up, Bitcoin is showing resilience despite the geopolitical uncertainty. The Clarity Act does actually show optimism for the crypto industry, and then oil remains elevated because of tensions in the Middle East. Now, in global markets are still likely to remain headline driven over the coming days. And then for traders, this means staying disciplined, managing risk carefully, and being prepared for higher than normal volatility. So as always, if you found this breakdown useful, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more weekly updates, and I'll see you all in the next one.